Hello YouTube. I have another item I'm going to work on with the car. What I'd like to do is, when I first built the car, since it was originally just going to be just for a Halloween decoration, this chrome tape and stuff was, more than sufficient for what I was doing. But now that I'm going to be kind of driving around and maybe taking it to some shows and such, this is not going to work anymore. So what I'm going to attempt to do is actually make a metal trim that's going to follow this all the way down and then come down here. I do have a picture that I'm going to use as a reference. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to use that picture to reference, like this part where it kind of curves back, how it gets larger actually as it gets down to the base here. And then I'm going to reshape all these with metal and then try to make a metal cap that's essentially going to go over this right here. Now it's not going to be chrome, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it kind of like a polished kind of look. I'm going to take the metal and I'm going to sand it down with all the way down to probably like 1,000 grit paper, and then put some clear on it, so it'll be shiny. It'll be probably more like kind of how this looks on the side here versus very chrome like. But that's what I'm going to be doing just to make that look a little bit better. I think I spent quite a bit of time building these fins. I've actually had quite a few people compliment on the fins, how I made them and stuff like that, because they are a unique kind of item that I did do to the car. Just like that next level detail that I put on it, and I'd like to try to make them look a little bit better than they do. So I'm gonna give it a shot and see how it works out. Went into my pile of scrap metal, and these are some of the pieces I'm gonna use. This is just a 1/2 inch, galvanized electrical conduit. This is probably about a 3/4 inch, conduit essentially. I'm gonna essentially use the 1/2 inch. I'm going to rip it directly in half with a bandsaw, and that's what's gonna make the cap to follow the lip. And then this would be the one for the back, so this way I can make it go from the kind of smaller to the larger, and then once it's all welded together, sanded and seamed, it'll look like one piece when it's all done. So that's what I'm getting ready to start with. Alright, I got kind of my first piece sort of made here. Not quite happy with it. I might start over. But you can see the principle here of it'll just go right over top. Obviously I'll be cutting off the excess tape. Once I get that fully on there, I still got to run it, make my area right here, it's going to go all the way down. And then I still want to get some pipes to do this section so I can tie everything together. But that's kind of the my starting point that I'm kind of going with here. Usually all I'm doing is starting on my next side. I've already cut my angle here. Bring it up to about where that's going to run into it. And kind of eyeball it, so I can always, cut a little and then, keep a little on there. You see, kind of leaving this up, so when this piece comes into it, when I weld it all in, I can keep that nice straight line right there, and then I can cut the excess off as I weld this pipe into it. See where take a little more off. What I want to do is I want to try to turn this to the side a little bit, so I can try to get a good pound which I'm going to take off around this corner, essentially. Not taking too much off. off that. A little high. I can feel this piece kind of raising up a little bit, but to be honest with you, that's really not that bad. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt it. I can always trim it off the bottom when I get to that point. And now I'm gonna take it over to the welder. But before I weld it, I want to kind of mark exactly where the weld's gonna stop. There and here. Okay, got it roughly welded. Still have to grind it, but I like to continue checking to make sure that it's going to fit. It's a little spring loaded at the moment, so let me let's see if I can bow it out a little. That's better. Now just going I'm going to grind all this down, smooth it out like I did the other one, and then essentially the two ends are going to be done. Other than maybe just adding a little more wire to some of the pinholes so it smooths out. I just got to do the whole pipe part and then the lower section here. Okay, got it all sanded. Obviously, I've got to do more fine sanding to get the finish I'm looking for, but see, there's essentially the second side, kind of already mocked up. All right, getting started on the next part. Took a piece of pipe and cut it down to the size. Made a marker where I want it to stop. So this one up going right in here. Yeah, I got to do some fine tuning, of course. But what I did to kind of come up with my basic shape is I just took masking tape, just ran it across, cut it, and what I'm gonna do is I just peeled that off, laid it across the pipe, and then what I did is I just cut about a quarter of an inch more than what the tape was, so this way I could slowly sand it down to I got the fit that I want. That's how I'm starting on that part. All right, I pretty much got the passenger side about done. It's gonna need obviously some fine tuning, some more sanding to smooth this all out. You see I kind of got the lower piece, the two tail lights. I have a little bit of a flange up here so it overlaps the other one, which, like I said, I got a lot of sanding to do to try to get that smooth, and then it goes down to the points. Show you how it fits. See, all it's gonna do is I kind of bent this a little bit, and kind of like that a little bit, so it puts pressure against the car. So hopefully I don't have to put any fasteners in it. I might put like a RVT silicone or something like that on the back, a couple good flops, to help keep it so the wind can't get behind it and pull it up. But I don't really want any fasteners in it. I want to keep it as smooth as possible. But you'll see it just kind of go on here, kind of lock into place. See where you got this top piece, you get the flange kind of butts right up against the bottom of it. So this way it kind of smooths out. And the piece goes right along to the end. And this top piece will still be its own separate piece. That'll still be able to be pulled off if I need to pull just this off for some reason. Or if I gotta pull this off, I don't have to pull the entire assembly off. I was gonna make it one big piece, but I decided not to do that. So you're gonna have the top piece and then this lower piece, which is essentially consumes this lower section up to here. I was trying to decide if I was gonna run this all the way down, but the way I made it to slide on, I have a feeling it's gonna be hard to do that. So I might make another small flange that goes from here down to here that stays part of this portion. That this will kind of lock into. I'm not sure yet, I'll have to kind of play with it as I move along, but I got the one side pretty much mocked up. It's about, I just got to do the rest of the top and a whole lot of sanding, and then the whole other side. Working on the second side, I just want to kind of show a little bit of how I'm actually making these. First, I'll start with the 2 pieces of pipe. And you can see where I made these notches, you know, so they, when I'm going around, you know, it's a little snug fit, so I'm not going to force it on there yet. And then I cut 2 little pieces that are going on the bottom and top here. Now obviously I'm gonna touch all that stuff up. It'll look much better when I'm done. And then the bottom side is just gonna be welded to that. Once it's all burned in and sand down and smooth out, it'll look pretty good. And then I'll put the little flange on the top of this one like the other one, and then weld the side piece to it. But I just want to kind of show kind of how I'm doing it. It's a lot of tedious, you know, a little cut here, a little cut there, you know, to try to see where the angle's a little, and that's so it kind of cups around the other one a little better. So it's a lot of little tedious, little trimming here, little trimming here, little trimming there, you know, to try to get them to fit as tight as possible. All right, second side is all done, just a matter of just cleaning it all up. Next will be to make the little notches, get the tail lights in, and then finish that top piece. Getting started on the next part. Now that I got all this stuff pretty much made, now I gotta, you know, finish this. I stopped here so I can make this piece easier. Now I gotta go from here, then all the way down to the edge of the door here. And I gotta bring it down here, and I don't know if I'm gonna make a dip or make it straight and then just make a piece here. But what it is, I just picked up some 3/4 electrical conduit, and I'm essentially gonna take my bandsaw and I'm gonna rip it directly in half into 2 equal pieces, and that's what's gonna make those. The line's not as straight as I want it, but I gotta sand a little off of it anyways to get it down to where I want it. So that's not really gonna be a big deal. We've got this upper piece about done. I mean, I still got some more sanding to do. I got it running all the way down. That found the shape of the car. What I did here, I just built just a lower section to continue this body, this roll here down, and then a flat piece that goes right here. Now I'm just gonna put 2 screws in it, and that'll lock it in place. And this right here is kind of under pressure, so what it is, when that point is pulled as tight as it can, I gotta kind of pull this over and kind of lock it down. So that's what's gonna keep you know, some nice pressure on it to try to avoid fasteners. I might still run some silicone up underneath the bottom of this, like I'm gonna do on that, just to help with any possible like this while I'm driving down the highway or anything. But there's one side. The other side's gonna be a little bit more harder. I gotta remove those blue pipes and all that. So, all right, pretty much got both sides made. I started, you know, sanding them down, starting the polishing part. I've gotta wait for some more wheels to come in so I can finish, you know, kind of getting into those nooks and crannies. Then after that, I got to start working on the taillights. I was trying to do a little experiment. I took a little this polishes and took some just clear. Obviously, I'll polish a little more to get rid of a little bit more of the lines. But, you know, to be honest with you, that actually won't look too bad. You know, being that it's on a rounded surface, it should look pretty good out in the daytime. But I'm gonna close out this video with this portion. Keep a lookout for video 2, where I'm gonna either polish them and paint them, or I'm gonna just do a chrome paint. I'm gonna experiment with some. But then after that, the second video, I'm going to go into how I'm going to make the new taillight adapters to fit inside there, and then what everything looks like on the car. So thanks for watching.